I'm on camera right now? Yeah. Oh, shit. Knox made this beat. It's a crazy beat. He's got issues. I don't know how someone could create something like this. It is insane. We were together when he made it. You know, when he showed it to me, I was just like, I have to use this. But I spent so much time spinning my wheels trying to write to it. I sent it to Jitta, and I was like, yo, Jit, can you figure this out? He sent us almost immediately what is the hook of Elephant. From there, I was like, okay, now I have an idea of how I'm going to start to tackle this. And I immediately enlisted Annoyed so we can make the classic trifecta of me, Jitta, and Annoyed that we've had on many songs with great success. All bangers. I would say this is the king of all of the bangers that me, Jitta, and Annoyed have at this point. It is, oh God, I just ate a cheese stick, sorry. It turned out crazy. Honestly, at the end of the day, production-wise, the synchronicity between Knox and JP, Knox brought this one, shouldered it all the way to a certain point, then tossed it to JP. He, threw a little layup in there to add some interesting dynamics. What actually ended up being, I believe, the hook melody or some, I don't know. These guys are all crazy. They're all tech nuts. They know how to do all this stuff on these computers. I don't understand any of it. I just get a beat and I write raps and I write hooks and I go and do them into a mic like I'm doing now. I don't understand how I don't understand. I don't know. These guys are AI. In fact, I think they're gonna take over the world one day.
So here's the Webby session for Elephant. This record, I was actually going for almost like a Sleepy Hollow deep end vibe with the way the beat kind of strikes, the way it drops in.
My body different. Shorty said she tryna kick it. I'm in the mouth, son, like a dentist.
It has such a similar vibe between the two beats, and I really wanted to bring that kind of vibe to Webby's catalog. So starting off this record, we had a really cool intro section right over here. Kind of like the song No Love by Eminem and Lil Wayne that I was referencing for this reference here. I started out with this really cool bass pad from Trillion. So I used that bass pad to kind of give it a little bit of a warm undertone to this really cool sample that we both found. And it's from a YouTube clip. It was some like kid show. We found a really cool vocal sample and we flipped it. I took the main sample on the beginning and I had it kind of filtering up. So we had that sample riding up and then we had that bass going. And then I had this sound as well. I was actually referencing the Mike Tyson's Punch-Out theme from back in the day with Nintendo. So a little bit of a percussion from Slice X I threw in there and I chopped up this loop. A little bit of a chant. Kind of like a galloping like Yeet style hat pattern. So that's a really cool like serum-based synth effect. I did like a one-knob pumper, add a little bit of a degradation, like a lossy to it. I took a white noise burst and I ran some flanger on it with a little reverb and created a sweep. I also added a little bit of a cinematic boom. And then halfway through the intro, I added a little bit of this cool 808. So that's the intro section. The thing about it is that the intro is very dense, and whenever you do that in production, what you want to do effectively is you want to simplify it. So in this section, I have the sample doing this really cool echo. And then from there, I had this really cool 808, and the 808 built a really cool foundation to bring the whole beat in. What I did from here is we worked different sections from here. So I took this entire print or I took this entire session and I resaved it and we did a bunch of add-ons and I'm gonna walk you through those right now. So as you can see, in this whole entire record, there's multiple FL Studio sessions. During that whole time, I was still adding on stuff. So here's another add-on session and then we had another one right here. Actually, there's another one too. So this had about 4 or 5 FL Studio sessions before we got to the main track that we ended up doing the whole thing to. So after I sent out the session to JP and he did his hook, what I did is I came in on the second verse. On the section of Webby, I really wanted to add a lot. So in this session right here, we added a bunch of different effects.
Yeah, I've been through the shit you can't even imagine, and still I get up and I go.
So some really cool effects here and there. So let's walk through it. A little crowd clap kind of thing. A little match flick. A gunshot. A little cinematic reverse boom. I don't know what that was, but it was pretty cool. And in this part I thought was really standout. So it's like an 808, and I took some of that, and I think we ran a horn, actually. And so that part, it comes in with his vocal, and it sounds really cool.
Been through the shit you can't even imagine, and still I get up and I go.
And on this section, we added a couple sweeps. Almost like a fireball kind of sound. We stacked 3 of them. And then we had this. Sometimes we'll be stacking like 4 or 5 different effects to create one. And this, I think, was another 808. Sawtooth 808 with a high pass. So here's another effect off that. So that whole entire transition when he's talking about...
Never will fall, keeping that fire burning in my soul. Out on the road, earning my stripes.
Yeah, so keeping that fire. And then we had this. Yeah, I was automating a bunch of parameters inside of the Substance VST, and I believe I did a little automation through loss. Pretty cool. And then this came in. It's like a Zap laser mixed with a really cool dark piano. So for that, I used All Contact. I used the modular icons, and then I used the Cloud Supply, the piano from that. This section, I added a little bit of a bass to it. So it's another Substance VST right here. I was really into Substance during the session. I also added a sweep going into the sound. And then I did this. So that sweep cascades over this entire section I have below.
Hang my trunk low, I'm woolly mammoth, y'all Dumbo.
I started out with that sweep, and then we added this underneath it. And then underneath that, we did this. So I'm kind of going over his flow. It's a chopped up sample with Slice X. Then I added this. Kind of creating this kind of drum line vibe before this. An elephant sample. So it's kind of a cool, like, marchy, mammothy stomp, and then that sweep comes over it. Some things you just can't do before the artist gets on the track, because that would have probably been too much. If you give an artist all that to write to, it's way too much. However, after they lace their verse, adding these kind of elements, even if they're super tucked, can really bring the momentum to a next level in the next section of the record. Coming into this part of the verse right here, I did some really cool stuff with those elements.
I don't give a shit what you think, been a man on the brink and I'm still that way. I was built that way, so until that day that I'm laid in the dirt and they feel that great.
So that's the before, and I think there wasn't nearly enough going on, so we added all this.
I don't give a shit what you think, been a man on the brink and I'm still that way. I was built that way, so until that day that I'm laid in the dirt and they feel that great.
And then I added this section underneath all that. Little kick stomp. Little string section. And I added chopped up perk, crash cymbal, then I added that wobble bass from Substance, then I added more claps, then I added 3 booms here, also added this. Almost kind of like a bass to the whole stomp sound. And then I add another boom or a crash right here. Then I added this coming in from the last section. After that, we added this. Automation work, I believe on the perimeters on Substance. And then we added this kind of cool ethereal pads. Little tambourine in there. Then after the fact, when I did the record with Annoyed, I wanted to add a little bit more to the beginning of his verse. So when I did that, I added this. It's like a cut-off filtered horn. 808. And then some sweep work. Then Then in this session, I did some acoustic guitar that I added to the end of Webby's verse, and then I added this at the end of it. So this section right here, for some reason, I don't have my drive on me with the M-Tron Pro files, but I added like a Mellotron flute, and then I add a little Trillium bass underneath it. So on the last part of the record here, on the last hook, I wanted to add a little bit of like a triumphant bell sound.
With an elephant in the room, where the local legends come true. That's not the way to come out of it.
It's super subtle, but I added... This record was so dense. It's almost like I was entirely exhausted by the time I was finished doing what I had to do on it, that I wanted to bring in JP on the record, and I wanted to have him do the hook. And what I did is I actually had him and my boy Kyle flip through some different like melodies and ideas for the hook, and they built something really beautiful together, and I'm gonna have them walk through that right now. Check it out.
What's up, this is Kyle CE, and I'm here to show you the elements that I added to Chris Webby's Elephant track. So we got strings.
See what they do with an elephant in the room.
Then we got the orchestral flutes.
We finna see what they do with an elephant in the room.
And then with the 808.
We finna see what they do with an elephant in the room.
And now all together.
We finna see what they do with an elephant in the room, where the local legends come true. That's not the way to come out of it.
Yo, what's good? It's JP on the track. I'm gonna walk you through my production on Elephant, produced by Knox, myself, and Kyle. I started with a bounce and came up with this.
We finna see what they do with an elephant in the room.
Right away, I wanted to add some chords.
We finna see what they do with an elephant.
So I added this kind of synth brath sound that really just filled out that synth. So from there, I kind of just kept going and added in different random sounds, one of which being I just chopped a bunch of the instrumental that Knox sent me. I added this elephant sound effect. Kyle actually had sent some stems over, so I took his stems and I just ran them through a bunch of different shit. Lastly, I added this Kashmir sample. This is all the different elements that I added to this track. I'm gonna pass it back to Knox now.
So after all of those sessions from FL Studio to Reason, here comes the Pro Tools session. This was where we recorded all the vocals the whole time. As you can see, there's a lot here. It's super duper dense. This record took about a week to mix. I'm not gonna be running through all the plugins in this particular session. To go through all of those files and bring that all up is absolutely an enormous task, especially with a session like this. But I'm gonna walk through kind of how things get arranged here. So if you can see, I kind of categorize everything by section. Then I have my print up here. And then it goes to my summing unit. I run Gullfoss Master on the 2-bus, a little Bax EQ. I ran some Soothe, a little Kirchhoff EQ. Then I ran some Ozone Imager. I, from there, took this and ran it through mixanalog.com. I ran it to a studio tape and then an Elysia EQ, which is separate from here. Here's our acapella bus. I ran some Bax EQ, Shadow Hills, virtual tape machine, a little bit of this character, just for a tiny bit of parallel distortion to let it cut through. A little bit more mag EQ to kind of ride up some top end at the end. More ozone imager, and a little bit more Kirchhoff to kind of focus in the vocals. Right around the mid, bring up the mid channel a little bit on the mids that I like to do. Webby just couldn't find a hook to it, and then we had Jitta really take it home. And he sent in this really, really cool hook. There's so many cool layers in here I wanted to walk you through. A little bit of a low filter on it. Slap delay. A high vocal. Here's a plate reverb.
We finna see what they do.
It's funny because a lot of people say that, like, oh, you know, what do you do to sauce your vocals? A lot. Something like this, like, I could have just ran with this.
We finna see what they do.
But I wanted to take it a little further, so I added all that. So listen to the difference between having that and then having just a vocal.
We finna see what they do. With an elephant in the room.
It just adds an extra 5% to the vocal that lets it really cut through. Then I also added this really cool sauced out delay. That was probably like 3 different prints of delay. Like I probably did an H delay, and then I ran some plate reverb, a little lossy, printed that, cut it up, added a little saturation, a little driver, was automating it. So there's like some flanger going on that I was riding the automation going into the end of it. And then the end of this, just another delay, and it comes out like this.
That's not the way to come out of it.
When we did the record, it was so funny. When I was tracking and know it in the studio, I was like, dude, let the beat speak for like a bar or two before you come in. Letting the beat just speak its shit. I think that's the way to do it on this kind of record.
That's not the way to come out of it.
Just breathing. So he comes in there with a really kind of cool fat man scoopish, you know? So we took a little lossy to that. It's a little plate reverb. Add this in there. And like even stuff like this, like people don't realize how much detail is done on these records. Like look at this delay right here and how much, you know, we're chopping this all by hand. You know, it's like, it's unnecessary, but it's cool. Like, I don't care. Like, the thing about me, man, it's all devil in the details. Like, all day I will spend an extra couple minutes making something sound really cool and insane, and then just, like, doing a simple delay. And I think a lot of people like the simple delay, and most people probably don't even notice, but, hey, man, I love doing it. And I think that's what gives my sound a unique character to it. So here's a little synth I made out of Annoyed's vocal here. So it kind of cascades over really cool. That's cool. You know, all that was designed out of Annoyed's vocal. There was not one extra thing I added that was like a VST or anything. And then we're gonna break into Annoyed's verse. And we started out with this.
Since when you did that shit, nigga.
Little lossy automation.
Since when you did that shit, nigga.
Little reverse reverb, and it comes into his vocal.
Since 9-2 serving up your entree, I'm a giant like the brother Andre.
Recorded with a Slate VMS at the time, running through my entire analog chain. Then we added a couple more effects to it.
Since 9-2 serving up your entree, I'm a giant like the brother Andre.
Just subtle little like slap delays and whatnot.
Brother Andre, big man, glad.
Little ad-lib channel. Little plate reverb. A little bit more lossy. You know me, I'm a lossy boy.
No, it is the boom shaka like a boomer. Put a soccer bopper to you.
It was like the boomer. I wanted to add a little bit more of like a ludicrous vibe when I was tracking him. I'm like, I want you to stack that up and kind of give it that real anthematic stadium Luda thing.
Boomer to you. Boomer to you.
So it has a really kind of cool texture to it.
Boomer to you.
Then we added this.
Cougar.
Another ad-lib. Little doubles right here, stack it all up.
A lot of cougars, the heavy drip on mine sooner. The bright side of dark humor. The situation could be tumor, tell you to suck it up like a room.
This section, I added a really cool stutter to the beat.
The situation could be too much, tell you to suck it up like a Roomba, there you go.
And that section of the beat is really cool because what I did effectively is I took the piano, I brought it up an octave, I took the main vocal sample, I brought it down an octave. So you create more of a gap, so it becomes more room for the vocalist to breathe. So going into the end of Annoyed's verse, I wanted to make it where it was a more minimalist version of Webby's ending. What we did here is we added this.
It's gonna feel like it's April Fools. I'm here now, nothing else.
Slap delay going up, things going up in volume.
I walk out unscathed, the bruised, and what we do.
So you just increase that slap delay a little bit and it adds this kind of like, almost like football stadium thing to it that it's like, whoa, what's about to happen? And then all of a sudden, Jitta's dry vocal just cuts right in beautifully. And it's like, whoa, you don't expect those textures. And that's what I think makes a record a real roller coaster. So it kicks in so beautifully. And that's it. I mean, the hook is pretty much identical to the beginning part. Webby's vocals, we tracked the same day as Annoyed. So I add a little like ad-lib of him saying my turn going into his verse.
My turn.
And then we added this.
My turn. Yeah, we the champs. I'll take the shot if I see the chance. I'll spike the ball and then.
So a main dry vocal, and then we added this.
Yeah, we the champs. I'll take the shot if I
Little
see the
slap
chance.
delay.
Yeah, we the champs. I'll take
Little filter delay in the beginning.
Yeah, we the champs. I'll take the shot if I see the chance. I'll spike the ball.
Another slap delay under it.
Yeah, we the champs. I'll take the shot if I see the chance. I'll spike the ball and then.
Subtle double.
Yeah, we the champs. I'll take the shot if I see the chance.
All the reverb plate hits.
Yeah, we the champs. I'll take the shot if I see the chance. I'll spike the ball and then TD dance. That final boss, you gon' see I am. That super shredder, my feet are planted. That great.
So the thing about me, I like to add effects subtly and kind of increase them generously throughout the verse. I don't want to hit it too hard at first with all the effects, but I bring them in with different cadences throughout. So it's a cool like chop vocal, kind of rides throughout. We added some kind of cool ad-libs throughout here. Really fast delay on that ad-lib. I increased the delay on the ad-libs to get faster and faster throughout the verse. So that's just more of a textural thing, so when you hear it goes.
I go, never will foe, keeping that fire burning in my soul. Out on the road, earning my stripes.
Listen to that again. I'm gonna keep this little effect right here. Literally that. Watch this. I'm gonna take it out.
Get up and I go, never will foe, keep it.
Put it back in.
Get up and I go, never will foe, keeping that fire.
The little textures matter so much, especially with a record like this. At the time, I was really getting into hyperpop the year prior to this, and I wanted to bring hyperpop in the drill. Really cool kind of plate reverb, delay thing.
Earning my stripes at a personal price, but murdering mics is all I know. Whoa, whoa.
So all those effects are going on, and it's not getting in the way. It's just adding tension in release. And it's almost like subtle sweeps underneath his vocals. And it's so cool, because it's so personalized sound. It doesn't sound like it's out of place. Reverse reverb.
No, whoa, whoa.
Stack vocal.
No, whoa, whoa.
Little subtle stutter.
No, whoa, whoa. No, whoa.
Even the delay coming off the do not miss. It's a custom chop delay that I did.
All I know, whoa, whoa. Do not mismeasure my net worth.
And sometimes psychologically bringing in a line before it comes in on the next section as a stutter, it preemptively warms it up mentally to that next section without being too intrusive.
All I know, whoa, whoa. Do not mismeasure my net worth. Going Chris Jenner, that kick.
Beautiful. And then after this section, we added some more effects.
Dumb luck.
I added like almost like a decimort kind of lo-fi Nintendo thing.
Yeah, this shit isn't dumb luck. You must have me fucked up.
You know, it just makes it playful texture-wise.
Dumb luck.
That was done from that. That was a delay. Little dumpster fire delay. I did like an automation with a pumper as a sidechain automation. What? So that's just a texture to go over the what.
Bounce with me. Can I get a what? Hang my trunk.
Again, take it out. Watch.
Bounce with me. Can I get a what?
Put it back in.
Bounce with me. Can I get a what?
It's air candy, man. It's fucking air candy, and I love it. The end of his verse is crazy. There's so much stuff going on. It is unbelievable. And to do that, to counter it at least, we want to add more vocals. We want to stack it up, baby. So we had the dry vocal. Let's go
So
to
somebody
this.
go and hit that drum, bro. Because I don't give a shit what you think. Been a man on the brink and I'm still that
Add
way.
back
I was
in all
built
these
that
layers.
way. So until that day that I'm laid in the dirt and they fill that grave, I'ma give
All
my
those stack doubles coming in, and then we're going to add all this stuff.
bro. Because I don't give a shit what you think. Been a man on the brink and I'm still that way. I was built that way. So until that day that I'm laid in the
So this is actually a singing thing we did here. It's like a singing vocal that I just melodined the shit out of it, and I added a ton of reverb. Man, it's just, I forget half these elements that I do, and I go back and like, wow, we did so much here. And the average person just doesn't pick up on a lot of this stuff, but I think it's something that subconsciously really makes people latch on.
Because I don't give a shit what you think. Been a man on the brink and I'm still that way. I was built that way. So until that day that I'm laid in the dirt and they fill that grave, I'ma give my all till they give that praise. While I grip my balls and I spit that flame. Give a shit about fame, make them feel my pain. That's why they get chills when they hear my name.
So all this stuff is so important. Like there's a stack vocal here. Like a hyper pop kind of texture, and I add him yelling through some like glossy on that.
Bill, fill, laid, fill, give, grip.
It's like so many different effects. It's so cool. And then it comes into this part right here.
Webby.
That's all printed down from one ad lib.
Webby.
So I added a really cool vocoder guitar in the beginning of the record. I used the Tim Henson Archetype plugin. Amazing plugin, by the way. You can add like chords and MIDI, all kinds of cool textures on top of sounds. Really dig that plugin. And on the second half of JP's hook that he did with Kyle, I added that guitar back in. So I added that in over this.
How could I trust in you? Not losing sleep from you. When the elephant's in the room, they better clear all metropolis.
Beautiful. It adds that nice ethereal pad to kind of really blend in with the second half of the hook. Instead of it being all staccato and open, I wanted to drive it home. I wanted to give it a place to land. Throughout the record, I added more and more to each hook in each subsection. And on the last Webby part here, I added some more stuff lastly before we sent the record out. Some more guitar. Kind of almost a real like Valhalla plate thing going on in the guitar. And I added this dry guitar section. So I added that, I played that on my Martin, and then I added that Mellotron. For some reason it wasn't loaded in FL, I added that over here. So I add this right here. I was kind of going for like a Stairway to Heaven vibe on that. So I wanted to cascade those elements going into the last hook.
Wait for to see what they do. With an elephant in the room. Where the local legends come true.
5 days of solid work, from the beat construction to the mixing element of it, to the recording, the plotting, the planning, everything. All formed together to create that. And I don't think a lot of people realize how much work goes into these records. What I notice about records like this, it lasts and it stands the test of time more than a record that we're just trying to chase a sound that everyone already knows and do that whole thing. This record was really breaking boundaries. We were doing a lot. To this day, it's one of my favorite Webby records production-wise. I don't think there's many records, in my opinion, that top it. If you have any questions, comments, anything, please feel free to comment below. We're going to be doing, like I said, about one of these every 2 weeks or so. I plan on doing many more, especially of Webby's material. If you have any suggestions on any other songs you want me to do, leave it below in the top comments. I will absolutely be covering. So please subscribe today if you're interested in any more in-depth analysis, and I'm going to get back to you on the next one. Peace.